Kingdom of the Unseen. Do not play this recording if you're driving, operating any form of machinery, or doing anything else that requires your full attention, because this recording is hypnotic, and it comes to you from Therapies for Change with Joe Biggins. Therapies for Change accepts no responsibility for the use or the misuse of this recording. So when you're ready, just sit back or lie down in a comfortable place where you won't be disturbed for a while. If anything should require your attention, you will be up for the task. But for now, you're here with me. And now you can just relax easily and naturally. Just close your eyes and let your powerful, unconscious mind, not mind at all. Things will work out for the best is yet to come. And your unconscious can let you begin to sleep now. Drift down. Are you ready, my friend? Because it's all about to begin. And maybe for the first time again. So pack all your baggage, because this is a story which will help you on your life's journey, where change can happen easily, as we explore your internal world. And you can just drift down deeper now, as you let go. And it's time to revisit the wild territory of your unconscious mind. And I want you to know that you'll be very safe, because your unconscious will protect you, and my voice will go with you. And no matter how far you go this time, and what things you really forget to remember, that's okay too. It's all okay, since it's your set of dreams. And dreams that fade are still dreams. And in that stillness, you will drift down, and you may begin to notice the way your breath softens. And while you don't need to go anywhere, a part of you may already be preparing to go inward. Not to escape, but to remember. And you might notice the weight of your body being gently supported now, or the way your thoughts begin just to slow down, like leaves drifting on a quiet stream. As you listen, you may find your unconscious mind is already listening too, in its own quiet way. And you don't have to try, and you don't have to understand. Just allow whatever wants to unfold. As you continue to drift down now, every breath takes you further. Every moment allows you to sink deeper, effortlessly and naturally. And you may find your thoughts begin to slow down, as if fading into the background now, like distant echoes, not needing your attention. Your body becoming so relaxed, so completely at ease, that even if you wanted to move, you may find the desire to do so beginning to fade away now. A deep comfort spreading throughout your muscles, throughout your limbs, making everything feel so still and so quiet. And in a moment I will count down, and with every number your awareness will deepen, and your body may feel even heavier, more distant, as though sinking completely into tranquility. 5. Sinking beyond thought, beyond feeling now, into pure relaxation. 4. Everything slowing down, your body feeling distant, yet perfectly calm. 3. And the stillness is expanding, reaching every part of you now. 2. No need to think, no need to move, just deep peace. That's right. 1. fully immersed now in profound relaxation, where nothing else matters now. You are now in a deep state, where external distractions fade entirely, where only stillness exists, where relaxation continues effortlessly and easily, and your mind and body are completely at rest now. There's no need for you to analyze, no need to focus, simply existing in pure tranquility. It is shared by those who tend old stories that even the brightest chapters must close one day, and that which harms will never hold forever. Yet those who turn away from quiet signs of sorrow may find themselves lost in it, until they remember they were never meant to face the dark alone. As you hear yourself saying, "Hello darkness, my old friend." You're not alone even when you're alone. As you begin to settle, and perhaps deeply, more deeply than ever before, you might notice a familiar presence, not loud, not sharp, but quiet, like a memory, like a breath, like a friend. Hello darkness, my old friend. Not a fear, not a fight, but to listen. Because sometimes the parts we've hidden are the ones that need us most. And maybe you can begin to notice that the darkness isn't empty. It's full of stories, of strength, of survival. And when you meet it gently, you will begin to remember that you are never broken, only becoming. My old friend, you've come to speak, not of silence, but of truth. And maybe you can feel that now. The way your breath softens, the way your body listens, and the way your heart begins to open. And as you go deeper still now, just settle, and perhaps more deeply than before, like sleep. Just sleep. And you might notice how easy it is just to drift into a story, a kind of remembering, or imagining, or dreaming that feels familiar, even if you've never heard it before. There was, or perhaps still is, a place, somewhere between the last light of day and the first breath of dream, where a kingdom stood quietly, gently, in the hush of forgetting, where no one spoke of the dark. The sun always shone, and so they claim, and the people wore smiles, and like masks, polished and practiced. But beneath the cobbled streets, in the roots of the old trees, something stirred, a fog, slow and silver, began to rise. It whispered through the alleys and curled beneath doors. It did not roar or rage. It simply arrived, and those who noticed it, the children, the dreamers, the ones who still listened, were told, "There is no fog. You must be tired. You must be mistaken." And so many turned away. They lit brighter lamps. They sang louder songs. They built walls of distraction and called them safety. And in this place, people had learned to smile without feeling, to speak without saying, to live without seeing. And maybe you've known places like that, or moments when the truth was just a little too heavy to hold. They said the sun always shone, and maybe it did, or maybe it didn't. But nobody asked, because asking meant seeing, and seeing might mean remembering, and remembering, well, that changes everything. And so, when the fog began to rise, soft and silver, curling through the alleys, whispering beneath the doors, most turned away, politely, quietly, as if nothing had happened at all. But one gentle soul named Ellen, didn't turn away. She had heard the stories, in dreams perhaps, or in the way of the wind moved through the trees, stories told by the old woman at the edge of the wood, the one who spoke in riddles and smelled of lavender and ash. And Ellen, she knew, in that deep, quiet way, that to deny the fog was to feed it. So one morning, as the mist kissed the edges of the doorstep, she stepped forward, not to fight or flee, but simply to see. And as she walked, the fog welcomed her, not with fear, but with softness. And maybe, just maybe, you can imagine what it's like to walk into something unknown and find that it's not as frightening as you thought. As you continue to drift down now, you might imagine Ellen walking deeper into the fog, each step soft, each breath slower, as if the mist itself was inviting her to remember something she hadn't yet forgotten. There was no math, no path, only the quiet knowing that something important was waiting to be found. And maybe as you listen, you can begin to notice that there's a part of you, like Ellen, that has always known how to walk forward, even when the way was unclear. Because deep within fog, Ellen found something really unexpected. A flicker, a glow, a lantern, not hanging from a tree, not resting on the ground, but rising gently from her own chest. And it didn't burn. It didn't blind people. It just simply warmed. And as she breathed, it grew brighter. Because sometimes the light we seek is the light we carry. And maybe you can feel that now. A warmth, somewhere inside, a quiet reminder that you have always had what you needed most. And the fog didn't vanish, but it softened. And Ellen, she walked with her lantern through memories, through echoes, through places she once avoided. And with each step, she whispered to herself words that you too might begin to hear. I am still here. I am still whole. I am still becoming. I am still here. I am still whole. I am still becoming. I am still here. I am still whole. I am still becoming. And the fog, it listened. Because when we believe in ourselves, not as perfect, but as possible, the world begins to shift. And so Ellen walked not to escape, but to remember, to preserve what mattered, to release what didn't. And in the heart of the mist, she found a garden, blooming in silence, a place untouched by fear, where the air shimmered with reward, not of gold, not of praise, but of peace. A kind of peace that comes when you faced the darkness and found yourself still shining. And now, as you continue to listen, perhaps even more softly now, you might notice how the story begins to shift, just as you do, in your own way, in your own time. Ellen stood in the garden, where silence bloomed, and the fog no longer pressed, but danced like a memory, like a breath. She had walked through the unseen, not to escape, but to understand, and in doing so she became something more. And maybe you too can feel that, the way change happens, not all at once, but in layers, perhaps in whispers, in the gentle unfolding of who you've always been. And from the garden a path appeared, not carved, but revealed by her presence. Because when you carry light, the way forward begins to notice. And so Ellen walked, not back, but onward, through the village, through the places she once feared. And something remarkable happened. The fog followed her, but not to consume. It followed her to learn, to soften, and to listen. And the people, they watched as the mist curled around her, not with menace, but with grace. And they began to wonder what else they had not seen. And maybe you can imagine what it's like to be the one who brings the light. Not by force, but by being. Because self-belief is not loud, it's steady. It is the lantern that warms the path, even when no one else understands it. And preservation is not resistance. It is remembering what matters most and choosing it again and again to hold it close. And reward, well, it isn't always applause. Sometimes it's a quiet peace of knowing you've walked through the fog and found yourself still whole, still becoming, still here. And now, as you continue to listen, perhaps even more gently now, you might notice how the story begins to unfold inward, like a petal, like a breath, like a memory returning home. Ellen walked beyond the garden, beyond the village, into a clearing where the fog shimmered, not with fear, but with possibility. And there in the centre stood a mirror, not made of glass, but of stillness. It didn't reflect her face, not exactly, but something deeper, something older, something yet to come. And maybe you can imagine what it's like to meet the part of you that already knows how to heal, the part of you that has walked through storms and still smiles, the part that has fallen and still rises, the part that whispers, "You are more than what happened. You are more than what you feared. You are becoming beautiful." And Ellen, she stepped closer, and the mirror, it didn't show perfection, it showed the truth. scars and strength, softness and fire. And maybe you can feel that now, the way your future self already lives inside you, waiting, watching, whispering. Keep going. You're doing beautifully. You are the light you thought you had lost. Keep going. You're doing beautifully. You are the light you thought you had lost. And in that moment, Ellen didn't need answers. She didn't need applause. She simply breathed. And the fog, it bowed. Because when you meet yourself fully, gently, truthfully, the world begins to listen. And maybe as you listen, you can begin to notice how your own mirror begins to shimmer with possibility. Because you, like Ellen, are still here. You're still whole. You're still becoming. And now as you continue to relax, even more than before, perhaps even more deeply now, you might notice how the story begins to settle, like soft air after rain, like breath after release. Ellen stood before the mirror, not to ask but to listen. And what she heard was silence, not emptiness, but fullness. The kind of silence that holds everything. And maybe you feel that too, the way stillness sometimes speaks the loudest. She's turned not away, but towards the world, and the path opened, not because it was easy, but because she was ready. And maybe you are too, because you've walked through the fog, and you've met yourself in the mirror. And when you've carried your own light, you begin to see the world differently, not as something to fear, but as something to meet, to shape, to soften. And Ellen, she returned to the village, not to change it, but to be herself fully. And that was enough, because sometimes the greatest healing is simply to be, to breathe, and to belong. And as she walked, others began to notice, not the fog, but the light. The way it moved with her, the way it warmed the air. And maybe you can imagine what it's like to carry that light in your own way, in your own time. Because you, like Ellen, have walked through something. And you, like Ellen, are still here. You're still whole. You're still becoming. And the light you carry is not borrowed. It's yours. It always was. And it always will be. And now, as the story settles, you might notice how the darkness no longer feels distance, no longer feels heavy, but it feels familiar, like Ellen's fog. It's softening, it's listening, and it's learning. Because Ellen, she didn't banish the dark. No. She walked with it. She lit her lantern, and the fog followed her, not to consume, but to be transformed. And maybe you too have walked with something. A shadow, a silence, a sorrow. And maybe you've begun to notice that it's not the darkness, but the forgetting that dims the light. Hello, darkness, my old friend. You've come to speak not of fear, but of truth. And Ellen, she returned, not unchanged, but more herself than ever before. And you are returning too, with your own lantern, with your own light, with your own story still unfolding. Because the kingdom of the unseen was never about escaping the dark. It was always about remembering the light. You carried all along, And now as you breathe, as you rest, as you become, you might notice that you are still here. You're still whole, and you're still becoming. And the fog, it's still listening, and you begin to waken. And on the count of 5, you'll come all the way back. Changed. Changed in a way that you never expected, but always wanted. On the count of 5. 1. Already been slipped through the darkness. 2. The world you live in. 3. Bringing all the changes within you. 4. This is your destiny awaiting now. And 5. Wide awake and fully alive now. This has been Therapies for Change with Joe Biggins. Hope you enjoyed this recording, and I look forward to hearing from you real soon. Bye for now.